You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show. It is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020, middle of the weekday, hump day, starting that long, slow glide down to Pauhana Friday. And, of course, being April Fool's Day, we're expecting our usual share of jokes and stuff. We don't do that here at What Really Happened, but we can't guarantee the callers won't try and play a few fast ones on us here. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. So let's get right into it, starting with the non-coronavirus news. I mean, I'm really tired of hearing about it. It's actually hard to find non-coronavirus news. Another bad day on the Dow, closed about 1,000 down. And it's a good thing those buildings are air conditioned and the windows won't open, or it would be raining stockbrokers all over Wall Street right about now. A couple of interesting little stories here. We ran one about 2 days ago from Press TV asking if the U.S. is readying itself to reinvade and occupy Iraq. And basically talking about all the signs that, first of all, the people in Iraq, the government of Iraq, don't want the U.S. to be there anymore. The U.S. wants to stay and garrison the place here. And I mention that because there's a story that came out today, and this one came out from Fox News, where Trump is saying Iran is planning a sneak attack on U.S. troops and assets in Iraq, and that Iran will pay a heavy price if this happens. Now, this is total bovine excrement, and I'll tell you why. If, in fact, Iran was planning a sneak attack, the fact that Trump has made it public, the smartest thing Iran could do is call it off and make Trump look like a fool. So if something happens now, if there's some kind of an attack on U.S. troops, it's not Iran. It's going to be somebody else. It's going to be another false flag to get the wars going. And it does look like the United States, under the cover of the coronavirus, while we Americans are running around and social distancing and masking and all the rest of that stuff, that they're getting ready for a major war. And there are three signs that that's going to happen. First of all, Pompeo has ordered all American citizens to immediately return to the United States of America. And that's something that always precedes a war. Then you have Trump activating 1 million military reservists, supposedly to deal with coronavirus, but 1 million reservists, that's an awful lot. And finally, you've got the fact that the Pentagon has put a staff into the Cheyenne Mountain nuclear control bunker under isolation. So it looks like the country is moving to a war footing. And gee, I wonder here. Meanwhile, Twitter has suspended Iran leaders' accounts. With no prior notice, Twitter blocked the accounts used by the leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, before reinstating only 2 of the channels of communication. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a phone call from Jim in Illinois. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Up until March 12th, Donald Trump was saying this virus was a hoax, it's a lie, and ride it like a cowboy if it really existed. Then yesterday he stated over 200,000 Americans probably will die due to this virus. Do you think he could be charged for involuntary manslaughter?
No, because he did not actually take any action that would lead to somebody's death. Manslaughter is where you do something where somebody dies. It's not a crime of omission, it's a crime of commission.
Then do you think he should be charged with something then?
No, not really. He had bad information. If anything, he should be firing some of his advisors who said this was a hoax.
Okay, well, so basically, he's just have to live with this situation, even though he denied it for weeks.
Well, he's trying to deal with it now, and I think it was 15 days ago they were predicting 1 million deaths, and now because of the mitigation strategies, they're down to 200,000. Now, to me, that's a positive thing.
Well, you know what? I believe that 1 is too many, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, but then blame the virus for that.
Right. Well, that's true. So, well, okay, Michael, I'll let you go. Take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot. Okay, now over in Afghanistan, and there's a lot going on over there, there's been another example of military spending waste. Apparently, there was an ad agency, a contractor, that was in charge of the propaganda program for Afghanistan. They've billed the Pentagon $425 million for advertising that never aired. They produced ads, they never aired, they were not going to win hearts and minds, and apparently there was a company whistleblower who's filed a lawsuit. This is the Leone Group took in upwards of $425 million in military contracts from 2008 until 2015 to produce TV, radio, and billboard ads on behalf of the U.S. in Afghanistan, knowing most of it would never be seen by Afghan eyes. Boy, $425 million. What a waste, what a waste, what a waste, what a waste. Okay, down in South America, in Venezuela, the U.S. tells Guaido he may renounce his Venezuelan presidency claim, but they will still support him. So apparently they're getting ready to try something a little bit different. You know, they've played this whole thing. Guaido is the legitimate president. It didn't pan out. The Venezuelan people don't like him. So they're going to try something different now. Maybe an invasion. Could very well be an invasion. And that would be signaled by this attempt to charge Maduro with narco-terrorism, which was the same charge they hit Manuel Noriega with shortly before they invaded Panama. So one of the things that we need to be looking at with all this total media saturation, we're being contentized, or maybe we could call it covidized this time. You know, the news is all COVID-19 all the time. What is going on they don't want us paying attention to. And I think Iran and Venezuela are definitely on that list. Let's take another phone call. Joe in Tennessee, aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, first of all, the call previous, Donald Trump never said the virus was a hoax. So the previous caller is being dishonest. I really don't appreciate that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, he should get his facts right. I mean, that's been disputed, and it's been proven to be factually wrong. He never called it a hoax. He said the way the Democrats were treating the virus when him was a hoax. Yeah. So, you know, it doesn't really help matters, whoever the previous caller, forget his name, to just keep repeating a lie, you know. Well, another thing I wanted to ask you about is next time, you know, you've had a fireman who calls in once in a while, and he just seems pretty interesting. I mean, he says he was on ground zero, and, you know, he's got issues from it. And next time he calls in, I'd like to know what his opinion on 9/11 is. I mean, you know, you have, you know, I always, whenever I meet firemen, I always ask them because I like to see the you know, whether they can tell us, you know, if they know what's going on, or if they're scared to say, or what their opinions are, to tell you the truth. And, you know, if he calls again, I'd like you, you know, if you could just say, like, well, you know, real quick, but what do you think of what happened on 9/11? You know, because I've been a, you know, dedicated 9/11 activist for years. And, you know, when I hear of somebody that's been climbing around on the rubble pile, I'd kind of like to know what he thinks about it, you know. And yesterday I couldn't call in because I couldn't get through, but you brought up the Navy and the vacuum toilet problems they're having. And I've worked on a lot of ships, as you know, and I was dealing with a lot of the vacuum toilet systems. I mean, I was on a cruise ship in Hawaii, and we had those, and usually they work really well. I mean, that, you know, the problem is, you know, they're good because they're efficient. You don't use very much water. You can use gray water, not salt water. And, you know, when you use salt water, you have all the pipe and leaking issues, whereas you use gray, you know, regular water, you don't have the leaks and the piping problems. But usually it's because women, you know, no offense, but, you know, whenever I've been on ships and I start having, when you get a couple women on board, all of a sudden you start getting vacuum sewage problems because of, you know, they flush things down the toilet that you're not supposed to. The only thing that you're supposed to flush down a vacuum toilet is human waste and toilet paper. Nothing else. No sanitary pads, no condoms, nothing else. Just toilet, no hand, you know, Kleenex, nope, no good. No, you know, paper towels, no. Just toilet paper and human waste. So, you when I hear about that in the Navy, they're having all these troubles. I'll bet you that they're just putting a lot more women on the boats. Now, I was on that oil rig, and I had an issue with it. We had a guy come on with a big beard, and they told him he had to cut his beard off because you have to be prepared for fires, so you could put on a face mask and have a seal. And
Yes.
he cut his beard off and flushed it down the toilet. That caused all kinds of trouble, But vacuum toilet systems are great. I mean, I think they're really wonderful. When everybody is on board, and operating them properly, boy, they'll work fine. It's only when you get somebody new that doesn't know any better. And I got to tell you, it's just a lot of women. When you get a lot of women on your boat, you're going to have a lot of trouble with your sewage. So I just wanted to to bring that up real quick. And I get this feeling with this coronavirus that, before the coronavirus even happened, about 6 months ago, there was a big story about measles or chicken pox up in New York. And like the Orthodox Jews weren't vaccinating their kids. And it was like, for a while, there's this big anti-vaxxer thing that was going on, and it was almost like, now that I look back on it, it was like preparation propaganda, like pre-propaganda for the coronavirus. And I think when this whole coronavirus thing's like over with for now, they're going to come out with some like really bad vaccines to give us. And there's no way in hell you're going to be able to say no, So they pre-propagandized everybody about anti-vaxxers, about 6 or 8 months ago. They demonized them. And now it's kind of like bin Laden and 9/11. They always get this stuff out there first. So how are you going to stand up to say, no, I'm not going to take a coronavirus, after people's lives have been ruined and they've lost their jobs? You're going to have a hard time saying no, and they're really going to. You've already been demonized even before you say anything.
Yes. No,
So
I'm in agreement.
What's going to be in it?
We don't know. That's the problem. We don't even know what's in the vaccines we're being given now. I mean, scientists are taking those vaccines apart, and they're finding all kinds of things like, monkey cancer cells and stuff left over from aborted fetuses, and just all kinds of horrible stuff. And some of it has no legitimate therapeutic purpose. Let's see, I'm trying to think of the one that interferes with the vitamin D metabolism, which makes you more susceptible to illness. And there's no reason for it to be. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of different bad stuff they're putting in there, like mercury and squalene and stuff. But what's interesting to me, besides the vaccination, it's like it might have been 8 months ago, and I'm talking to my mom. I call my mom like once a week, and she's like all on this vaccine thing. These people up in Williamsburg, I think they were Orthodox Jews. They weren't getting their kids vaccinated, and I thought to myself, because my mom is like a sponge. She watches, MSNBC and CNN. She doesn't like Trump. And like for her to be like babbling this is like very indicative of like the average, like mindless, person that follows the propaganda. And so looking back on it, I could see the pre-propaganda now. And now we're in the middle of the storm with coronavirus. But coming out of this, it's going to be very hard to be an anti-vaxxer. And they're going to know that, and they're going to put all kinds of stuff in those vaccines to try to get us to take. And, it's very alarming when you it's predictable what's going to happen. And if you're not going to get your vaccine, you're probably not going to be able to buy or sell like the Bible says, They probably cut you off. I mean, they're going to, and you're going to be so demonized that you're going to have a hard time standing up against this, when it happens. You can almost see it, really. I hate to say it, but
well, I think what's really worrying is when you have people like Bill Gates running around saying vaccines should be used to sterilize people and, make all kinds of changes to them for the better. And of course, somebody else gets to decide what's better for you. And by the way, David nudged my memory. The compound I was thinking about is nagalase in vaccines that correct the vitamin D metabolism. And there isn't really any legitimate reason for it to be there, but it is included in a lot of vaccines.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people and they're talking about some crazy stuff that they're going to put in there that changes our DNA and works with 5G. And I mean, I don't know how much of it's true or not, but I don't think I'm going to take a vaccine. Not because, I don't like when I get snowballed into anything, And boy, they're going to be really trying to bulldoze you into this one and fast. I bet you there's a vaccine that'll be ready by next fall, and if you don't take it, you're going to like lose your rights to travel. There'll probably be a thing about flying on airplanes. I probably won't be able to work on a ship. It's like now if you don't get a flu shot, you can't be a nurse, you can't work in a hospital. And boy, after what they put the country through with this one, and there are people losing their jobs, you're not going to get very much, support from the public if you're not going to get your vaccine. So, I always said, well, what's it to you if you don't get a vaccine? Just get the vaccine for yourself, and why do you care if I get polio or chicken pox or whatever? That's my business, But no, they gotta, they want everybody. Real quick, Peter said yesterday, I like listening to Peter. He said his daughter was going to go to Harvard, and I'd like to congratulate him, but I'd like to warn him. One of my best friends went to Harvard, and it wasn't within 4 or 5 months. He didn't want to hang out with me anymore because he said it would be bad for him, because I'm kind of outspoken and I kind of think offbeat, kind of thoughts. And, Harvard can really change a person, when they go there. He went away as like a Republican, libertarian, Ronald Reagan kind of guy. And I mean, it wasn't 4 months later, he's part of the Hasty Pudding Society and all that. I mean, he's done very well for himself. So I guess staying around, keeping away from guys like me probably worked. But just so he knows, I'm sure that he raised her well. And it'll come in handy, all the work that he did on her character, because she'll need it. It's very tempting, the society's there, and there's a lot of rich people, and it's very tempting to sell yourself out. So just so Peter knows, that's one of the dangers of it's a great institution, but you really have to watch out. There's a lot of bad stuff going on at Harvard. They have, they run the world, they run the country pretty much. So I think that the guy on on Alex Jones today, I forgot his name, but he went to Harvard. He knew Kissinger and all those guys, Ted Cruz. He went around them, and he said that. He says that they're very Machiavellian there, and you have to be careful. It's like, but he went for the good side. So I hope she does too.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the phone call and for the information. The next time Dennis calls in, I will ask him about 9/11. All right, getting on back to the news here. The IDF and the U.S. military are holding joint drills using F-35 jets in southern Israel amid the COVID-19 outbreak. And apparently earlier in March, the two countries called off the scheduled joint exercise Juniper Cobra over concerns it might facilitate the spread of the virus among the military. But they went ahead and conducted joint drills called Enduring Lightning in southern Israel on the 29th of March, according to the IDF reporting via Twitter. Now, North Korea has come on out and said it's clear at this point that the United States does not really want nuclear talks. And apparently this is Kim Jong-un responding to what he describes as reckless remarks by U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, making it clear Washington has no intention of resuming nuclear talks, and warned that it is now compelled to pay back the pain, meaning Korea, is now compelled to pay back the pains the U.S. has imposed on our people. Not sure exactly what that means, but North Korea has been testing a bunch of missiles lately to basically show that they're sort of back in the missile business here. All righty, now a lot of people are looking at Joe Biden and his very obvious deterioration at this point. But more than that, they're saying that the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, is killing Biden's chances of the White House. More about this when we come back from these words from our sponsor.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. And again, a reminder that Republic Broadcasting is holding a fundraiser. And folks, it's hard for us to ask you for donations because we know you're all struggling the same way that we are. But we do have to ask because the need is there. And we wouldn't ask if we didn't need it. It's not like any of us are driving expensive cars or anything like that, where nobody gets rich in independent radio. But the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a debit or credit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. All righty, getting on back to the news here. We're talking about Joe Biden, who is clearly deteriorating. And Democrats are now saying that this whole pandemic is working to Trump's benefit because he's getting a lot of airtime. He's reassuring Americans. His poll numbers are up. He's giving Americans the facts about the virus, and he's delivering results At least that's what it looks like. He's delivering results, and that's making it hard for Joe Biden. Now, Google has decided to block all ads regarding coronavirus on the idea of misinformation, which means the Democrats can't run ads criticizing Trump. And Joe Biden himself tried to do his own little coronavirus update. Everybody's doing coronavirus updates. They just had the mayor of New York on Fox News. And when we were out earlier today, Indiana's Governor Holcomb was doing his coronavirus updates. So everybody's out there getting their 15 minutes of media fame there. But Biden did this interview on his view of coronavirus, said there are 3 things we have to do quickly, of which he could only remember 2. So, all right, let's get into the economic news here. As I mentioned before, the Dow closed almost 1,000 points down. It was below 1,000 at one point, and it's not looking like the trend is going to reverse anytime soon. There was that little bit of a dead cat bounce we had last week, but it didn't stick. For any bullish investors left, the reality checks are coming thick and fast, and even the reality checks are bouncing. Oil stocks haven't quite hit the bottom just yet. We're hearing some places where oil is $10 a barrel for the lesser grades. They're saying it may even go down to $1. And of course, the oil companies are hurting. The tax revenues are hurting. And it's just a general mess. Now, experts are predicting an oil market apocalypse because of the plummeting consumption. We're all staying at home. We're not out on the roads. We're not driving around. We're not buying gasoline. There's a huge supply glut. Every time there's a supply glut, the price goes down. Now, it's been suggested that the United States should impose a tariff on imported oil, but we don't import that much oil. In fact, we're a net exporter of oil. U.S. drillers face doomsday scenario as some crude blends hit $1. Now, if it costs more than that to get that barrel of oil out of the ground, the party is over. It doesn't matter how much oil is down there. If it costs more than a barrel's worth of energy to get a barrel of oil to the surface, it's over. So, now the Federal Reserve is just pumping out dollars. They're just cranking that printing press and typing that computer keyboard, and they're taking on the role of the world's central bank. They're flooding the planet with U.S. dollars, trying to build up liquidity to keep the global system from seizing up. But at the same time, they're reimposing dollar hegemonic domination on the rest of the world's economy. So a lot of people see this as a good thing. A lot of people see this as a bad thing. But if they keep printing up that paper dollars, soon they're going to be cheaper than the toilet paper is. All right. Goldman Sachs is saying a quarter of annual buyback volume has been yanked. Credit Suisse is out there saying hedge demand shows there's no faith in this rally. Well, as of today's stock market, I can see that Credit Suisse knew what they were talking about. But the quarter has ended. The first quarter of 2020 has just ended as of yesterday. Nobody can pay their rent. Nobody can pay their bills. Nobody can pay their taxes. It is a mess out there. Google searches for can't pay rent are up 15 times in the last week alone. Now, this has led to the start of a nationwide movement called a rent strike. And there are tenants across the U.S. are saying they will not pay their landlords during the coronavirus pandemic because millions are now out of work. And you've got New York, Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and St. Louis are some of the cities that have temporarily banned evictions. But advocates for the rent strike are saying that rent payments be waived, not delayed. Now, I wish it was that easy. The problem is that usually landlords owe money on those properties. It's not like they own them outright and they're just charging rent and they can afford to have the rent not paid. They're having to make payments to the bank. So you can see how the cascade can happen. You got to take a break for more commercials.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse every day.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about, actually, we have a caller waiting on the line, so let's go to Steve Elkins. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update what's going on here. Wife came home from the hospital, gave me some orders, and told me what's going on. Governor Rick DeSantis has declared a statewide quarantine starting Thursday at midnight for 30 days. Only people can go out as an essential need to for doctor's appointments, this and that. Basically, everybody is to stay home for the next 30 days unless you have a doctor's appointment or something else that meets the criteria. Also, one of the nurses my wife works with, her husband's a pilot, and says 150 flights are coming in per day, approximately, from New York into Florida. And so they have not stopped that migration of people fleeing the state of New York coming down to Florida. Something to think about. They're going to clog up our healthcare system where we can't even use our own system here if this doesn't stop. But DeSantis has locked down Floridians, but the migration of New York citizens is continuing.
That does not sound good for the people of Florida.
No, does not. So, that's it for me, Mike. I'm on with John tonight. We'll be talking about this some more, but I just want to give you a heads up what's going on.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We appreciate the information. All right. Getting on back to the economic news here. Right now, we're seeing some lending institutions are taking advantage of the situation here. And a lot of people who were involved in the bank bailouts are feeling very, very unappreciated in that we all collectively bailed out the banks. Now we need their help. And the lenders are refusing to hand out government-backed loans with up to 1 million small and medium firms facing ruin. Lenders are denying the loans outright, or they're offering rates of up to 30% interest. So that'll tell you all you need to know about the bankers. Okay. U.S. auto sales have just collapsed totally. And there are basically no sales out there. U.S. auto industry enters total collapse as a result of the nationwide lockdown. And I can understand why. First of all, people are very unsure about the economy. Are they going to be able to make those car payments? I'm already seeing commercials from some car companies like Hyundai who are including in the purchase of your car an insurance policy where if you lose your job, they'll cover up to 6 months of your car payments, which I think is a good thing for them to do, help people relax about buying a new car. But the other situation is, when you go test drive a car, did the person who test drove it before you, did they have the coronavirus? Do you want to get into that car not knowing who was there before? So that's another factor you need to be paying attention to. How do you disinfect an entire car between test drives? 49% of U.S. companies are expecting layoffs in the next 3 months. Unemployment is heading to Great Depression levels. It's actually been there for quite some time. They're only just now getting around to admitting it. Meanwhile, we've got another caller on the line, Tom in Florida. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day, Michael. Yeah, Steve's right. DeSantis has closed Florida down for 30 days, so we'll see what happens with that insanity. Like you said, Michael, yes, Michael, I want to talk about tuberculosis. I did a little more research on tuberculosis because I was listening to another show earlier, and it is, you know what, tuberculosis is a lot more explosive disease than I had originally thought. According to some people, it said a million people got hit with tuberculosis in the last year, a couple of years. And we're not hearing nothing about the tuberculosis. We didn't hear nothing about tuberculosis.
Well, the problem is that the tuberculosis was most likely reintroduced into the United States of America by the refugees and the illegal immigrants. And of course, the liberals don't want that information to get on out.
Absolutely correct, Michael. Absolutely. What you're saying is carries so much unbelievable what you're saying. It's so true. And well, there's a lot of things they don't want to get out in the liberal media. You got Rachel Madcow saying that Trump will never get the hospital boat over there in 10 days. She lied about that. Oh, it'll take them 2-3 months. Or, I mean, all these fucking spinmeisters in the media are disgusting. That's what I call them, spin doctors, whatever you want to call them. And, getting back to Biden, Michael, I want to ask your opinion so everybody can hear this. What is your opinion on who's his top 3 running mates? And who do you narrow it down to of the women? Black or white woman?
They announced they wanted to go with a black woman. I think they've mentioned that governor, one female governor is on the list, and they haven't mentioned the others that I'm aware of. I wish he'd pick Tulsi Gabbard, to be perfectly honest. I mean, she may not be black, but she's definitely not white. And, she's military. She's served in a combat zone. And I like her ideas, except for the one on the Second Amendment. But I really don't know.
Definitely, she's a very pretty woman.
She's not hard on the eyes. Definitely not.
Yes, but I think he's going to narrow it down to Kamala Harris. I think that's who's going to be in his top 3. Chameleon. It could be that Stacey Abrams from Georgia, the Super Smile, and I think there's, yeah, like you said, there's is there a black governor lady? Who's that?
I'm
she's,
blanking on it right now. I think I don't know. It's not Michigan, is it?
No, I don't know. It's not Michigan. I can't remember. But yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. It's one of, she's one of those governors or senator or something. But I think I really now do believe that Biden is not capable of being president, Michael, not in the condition he's in. There's no way. This guy's brain, he's going to be set. You don't have he's got a 98-year-old brain in him, Michael. Everything that guy says is a stumbling, bumbling buffoonery. And, I just don't see this guy being the president of the United States. And then of course, you got his son Hunter out there, who was kicked out of the Navy. The guy's had 3 kids with 3 different women over a 5-year period. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And they still have that Ukrainian corruption thing hanging over their heads.
And that of course, I mean, it's like, wow, man, and people are actually vote for. I mean, of the 2 evils between him and Bernie, I understand, but I think Bernie's definitely got way more brains than Biden, way more. Bernie's still got his faculties together. This guy Biden, his faculties are shot out. I mean, it's like, no, man, I don't see this guy being. I can't believe this guy is the head guy for the Democratic Party as a president. It's unbelievable. I think they'd have been better off with I hate to say this, but they probably might have been better with Buttigieg or whatever, whatever his name is. And what this whole thing is the debacle of, it's like a calamity comedy. I don't know what you call it. It's insane. Now getting back to this Wahoo flu.
Before we get back to the flu here. I think questioning who Biden is going to have as the VP is almost a moot point, because this election is not going to be about the economy anymore. It's going to be how people performed during the coronavirus crisis. And Trump right now, he's got that. He's locked it down. He's got his daily briefings. He's got all these experts around him. He's reassuring the American people, and people perceive that he's delivering results. And so I'm in agreement with those Democrats who are saying that this coronavirus is going to kill Biden's campaign.
Yes, Michael, I agree with you. I totally agree with you that. And I just want to say this, this flu, this thing, you call it a flu, whatever. Is it going to ever be as bad as tuberculosis has been over the last, say, 20 years? Will this thing match the numbers of what tuberculosis has done to this country and other diseases?
We don't know. That's the problem. And the wild card, of course, is the fact that it is mutating. And I've heard one story that says there are 8 different strains out there now, and I've heard another story that says there are 40 different strains out there. And just by pure accident, it could mutate into a form that's far more damaging and far more lethal, or it could mutate to a form that's far more benign, and that will be the one that survives.
Well, yeah. One more thing, Michael. I think the locusts are coming, and I think the locusts are going to hit us after they hit China. I don't know if that's an April Fool's joke or whatever, but they're saying that we could have a locust swarm one day here in the United States. Who knows? I will say this, Michael. As far as this flu, how it spread so fast, I'm fascinated by this because it's like, wow, man, this thing hit so quickly to the United States compared to China or, Italy or all that. And then this came here like, I think this whole thing is like man-made. It has to be. I don't believe it's a bat or any of that crap that they say.
I think you're looking at infection in the age of jet travel. And the reason it hits so much faster here in the United States is we have a much higher per capita involvement in jet travel across the country. I mean, it's gotten so bad over in Hawaii, they've now established quarantines for inter-island travel. If you just go from Oahu to Maui, for example, you got a quarantine for 14 days. If you go from Maui to Kauai, you got a quarantine for 14 days. It's being carried by jetliners.
Hey, Michael, what do you think about this earthquake now that hit Idaho, and they're saying there's a lot of tremors, like 600 tremors in Oklahoma and Kansas and all that? What do you think about all that? Because I'm thinking that this might be a thing that they know the government may know about. And it's like one caller said a couple of days ago that I think there's something bigger coming. This is the month of April. That's when all the craziness starts to happen in this month. With April's been a really crazy month for a lot of events worldwide. And, this is the first day in April. And I think getting out of this month will be crucial because I think the government has something that they're not talking about. And
the government
I
always
say one more thing, Michael.
Okay, one more thing, and then we're going to let you go here.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go. One more thing I just want to say. I know you're going to say I'm a little nuts for this one, Michael, but I saw this on the History Channel on Ancient Aliens. They're talking about when these UFOs fly over that they can actually send down signals from the craft to make earthquakes. Have you heard about that? The United States military has been told to stand down anytime they see a UFO, to never shoot a weapon at one of those UFO identified flying objects. You never shoot a missile or nothing at them, because if you do, they'll just devour it and they can totally crush us in a second.
No, the reason the military the reason the military are told not to shoot at UFOs is the UFOs are actually top secret aircraft in development, and they don't want to shoot down a couple of $1 billion of taxpayer money.
Well, yes, I did hear that story too, Michael. I mean, they were talking about they already have a space force that they've had for like 20 years, and they have these super spacecraft that the people don't even know. I don't know if you select people know about it. I guess that could be very true, but I didn't I saw that one case where the guy's flying off the Nimitz, and he's tracking the UFO as fast as much as he could because the thing goes so fast, and he was like, I don't know if he sounded like he had an itchy trigger finger to shoot a missile at the thing, and I guess they told him, hey, stand down, because, I don't know. It's just all kind of weird what's going on with this UFO. I don't know. I don't know what you call it. I mean, it's like the UFO. What do you call this?
All right. Well, let me explain. Let me explain what my position is here, and I've said this before. I'm absolutely convinced the universe is teeming with intelligent life. I just can't think of a reason why they would want to bother visiting our planet. When you drive down the highway, do you stop and inspect every anthill you pass? It really comes down to that.
Michael.
Now, like I said, if you go back and you look at the history of Black Project aircraft development, and then you look at TV and movies, you will see that every time that there is a surge in movies about UFOs and space aliens and everything, it coincides with the testing of a Black Project aircraft, because they want people to be predisposed to think UFO alien spacecraft, so that when they see a couple of $1 billion of taxpayer money flash overhead, they'll rush down to the local bar and say, I saw an alien spaceship, and people will just ignore them, as opposed to somebody running in and saying, I just saw this really cool aircraft, that the government is testing, and then all the spies that are there would rush on out to the desert to try and get a look at it.
Well, I guess you gave the better explanation than I can give. So anyway, I'll let you go on that. But yeah, Michael, I hope this Cordera over there in Yellowstone, wherever it is, don't blow. I mean, that would be something that thing ever would.
We know it will eventually, just hopefully not in our lifetime. Thank you for the phone call, Tom. We're going to go over to Don in Arizona. Aloha, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I think that lady's name, Stacey, she lost the election for governor in Georgia.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. She's a loser. The Democrats like that, just like Beto O'Rourke. Hey, this guy's great. Look, he lost the election for senator. Now he's running for president. You know what I mean? They're not very logical a lot of times. But I personally can't believe that Biden is going to be the nominee, because he can't even talk unless they come up with some kind of a brain drug they can stick in his brain and make. I mean, he's had brain surgery. That's the deal, right? He's had some of his brain chopped out or something like that.
Well, I think he's had surgery for aneurysms.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm watching him perform on TV. I mean, the first time there's a debate between Biden and Trump is going to eat him alive.
Right. Now, Trump, you commented that he's doing well. He's nothing magical. He talks to people. He talks like a human being which is unusual for these politicians. Most of them have talking points they spit out, and they're trying to. I don't know what they're trying to do, but even these reporters that ask him snarky questions, he looks him in the eye, and you can tell he tries to be real quiet because he knows they're going to jump on him if he gets loud, angry. They call him the angry orange man or whatever. He doesn't get angry. He talks very softly to him and answers the question, and so he knows he is a good communicator as far as that goes. But I don't think he has the. He really doesn't have a grasp on the strategic what the hell he's doing, as far as I'll let you go, Mike. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. Take another break for commercials, and we will be right back.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new EZ4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
How would you like to earn an extra $10,000 or more a month from the comfort of your home? We show you how to win with a home-based business opportunity. This could be one of the best financial decisions you ever make. Work from home, full-time or part-time. Plus, you'll never have to talk to anyone. Our professional sales team closes all your sales for you, and you keep 70% of all the sales made. You could be earning money while you're sleeping, shopping, working out, wherever you are, day or night. Our system goes to work for you. You can make a great income without any special computer skills or sales training. Plus, you get paid fast, within just 24 to 48 hours after our professional sales team closes a sale for you. Let us help you eliminate your financial concerns. You could be earning enough money to pay off debt, buy a house, a car, or whatever the case may be. We've got you covered. If you'd like to add an extra $10,000 or more a month to your portfolio, and you would like to know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, go now to www.getstartedwithus.com. That's www.getstartedwithus.com. Again, that's www.getstartedwithus.com.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And I have a bunch of stories here about what's going on. As one of our previous callers mentioned, there was a big earthquake, largest in years, up in Idaho. 6.5 magnitude, was felt as far away as Canada. And mentioned the Yellowstone caldera. which sooner or later it is going to blow, just hopefully not while we're still alive. But it is a reality of Mother Nature there. Apparently, they had severe storms over in Ohio, triggered a 100-year flood in Cleveland, Ohio. Major flood on Sunday. And according to the National Weather Service, the Cuyahoga River reached 21.6 feet, which is considered to be major flood. It's the 7th highest level on record. Over in Hawaii, an intense Kona low continues to lash parts of Hawaii, causing severe flooding in Kauai. Almost 80 inches recorded this month. Now, Kauai is one of the wettest places on Earth. The very center of the island, Mount Waialeale, pardon me, is the wettest spot on Earth. And we have a close friend who lives on Kauai who had to leave her home for 2 days. Increased activity at Stromboli volcano. Lava reaches the coastline of Italy. And we have tornadoes that touched down in Mississippi and Alabama last night. So the planet is rocking and rolling, and I imagine the end times people are out there saying, oh my goodness, here it is, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Okay. So now we're going to get into the coronavirus news. All right, the New York coronavirus death toll has surpassed 1,500 as nearly half of the tests processed in the last 24 hours come back positive. New York has, as of the writing of this article, 75,795 confirmed cases of coronavirus. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced on Tuesday, revealing that of the 18,000 tests processed in the previous 24 hours, 9,000 came back positive. That is not good. Some 1,550 people have died with the virus since the epidemic began, a single-day increase of 332. New York City has been particularly hard hit. 5,686 of the new cases are located within its 5 boroughs. Well, look at how tightly they're packed together. You know, look at the subways. I mean, it's tailor-made for an epidemic to just run rampant, even with people trying to stay home. So Cuomo, who previously warned of the possibility of running out of ventilators, says he's ordered 17,000 of the machines from China at a cost of about $25,000 each. Well, he got a good price on them because apparently some of the ventilator manufacturers are engaging in a little bit of price gouging, and they're now charging $50,000 per machine here. Spain surpasses 100,000 COVID-19 infections, records the 5th consecutive day with more than 800 deaths. And that's a lot. That is definitely a lot. Spain is being hard hit. Let's see. Thankfully, some 22,000 people have recovered from the infection, according to figures published by the Spanish Ministry for Health. All right, we're going to take a break here for station identification. We'll be right back.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners, so that you can get involved in the activism. Please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. We're talking about coronavirus. As I mentioned earlier in the program, 14 days ago, Dr. Fauci was talking about a possible 1.7 million U.S. deaths. Now they're saying it's going to be about 200,000, which is definitely a major drop down. Now, critics are trying to say, see, they don't know what they're talking about. But I think what we're looking at is estimates based on the mitigation efforts, which are having an effect. You know, the mitigation, social distancing, masks and everything are having an effect, and the curve is definitely flattening. Now, CDC is now considering asking the entire public to wear face masks. They really don't have enough. But CDC is considering that. Donald Trump is telling people to cover their faces with a scarf if they want to do it. And he acknowledges there are not enough masks to recommend that everyone wear one when they go outside. Everybody is busy making new masks. In fact, they're turning it into a cottage industry here in Indiana, where, as I mentioned before, Governor Holcomb had his coronavirus update on the radio earlier today, where they were talking about people who were just in their own homes volunteering to make masks. And they had collection facilities set up where people can make masks and donate them. Now, over in Washington State, which was the original virus hotspot, they're seeing a significant downturn in COVID hospitalizations. They've declined over 20% in the past week. So maybe Washington State has hit its peak, and we can extrapolate that data for the other hotspots here in the United States. Okay, here's a good story. Democratic Representative Velasquez tests positive for coronavirus. He was with 80-year-old Nancy Pelosi 3 days ago for the rollout of the $2 trillion coronavirus bailout bill. Oh, it's time for Nancy to self-quarantine. Tucker Carlson had a report. Chinese researchers confirm coronavirus is linked to the horseshoe bat studies at one of 2 Wuhan research institutes. And Tucker Carlson basically reopened the case using information from a Chinese study on the origin of the coronavirus. Okay, we've got callers calling on in. Let's go with Tim in Tennessee. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is I was curious about there's like an incoming comet Atlas. Have you heard about that, Mike?
No, I hadn't, and that's kind of funny because I normally keep my ear out for astronomical stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Supposedly, like if you look it up, it's going to be visible to like the naked eye soon, like a huge comet that's coming. Like a lot of people have been talking about it, and like maybe coming up here around like in like April 29th, we're going to be passing through like a debris field. So there's going to be like all these incoming, strikes coming. And then like the other day, if you look, it's been happening all over the world. They're saying like there's like strange explosions. And they're blaming it like on other things. Like maybe there was like a car bomb or a truck bomb. But people on the ground are saying, no, it's like asteroid impacts. Like there's strikes coming. And it's called Comet Atlas. If you could look it up, and actually there was like an article from like 5 hours ago. If you check, it's going to be visible here soon. And then it's just funny because it goes back to, one of the callers the other day was talking about how all the hospitals are empty and they're setting up all these triage stations and stuff like that. So, I mean, it could be a good cover. It's like they know something's coming, but they're just saying that, they're setting up all these hospitals and all that stuff, because they know something big has happened. And then, how Trump's Space Force, too. They launched the first rocket the other day, and it's called the Atlas rocket, like a heavy rocket.
Well, they've been calling it the...
I don't know.
Okay, well, first of all, okay, how comets are named is whoever first spots it gets to name it. And maybe somebody just named Atlas saw it, or maybe they just decided they wanted to name it that way. Most people put their own name on it. The comet is going to be something pretty to look at. It's probably going to cause a meteor shower if we go through its tail, but I don't think it's really going to have much of an effect of anything here on Earth unless the head of the comet slammed into the planet, and that doesn't seem to be happening. So I did look at it. Look it up. I wouldn't get too excited.
Yeah, I just
Remembering this is April Fool's Day is probably one of the reasons why I'm skeptical.
No, I'm not trying to pull any jokes or anything, Mike. Like I said, everybody can do their own research for themselves. I just, I've been paying attention to different things, and a lot of people have been talking about it. Just like one of the last callers the other day, they talked about COG, the continuity of government. They're all going into Cheyenne Mountain, into their bunkers. When's the last time you saw the First Lady? Why isn't she out here comforting everybody and the women and children around the world? Like, everything's going to be okay. She's gone, Mike, all of a sudden.
She's in self-quarantine.
Huh?
The First Lady is
that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. And they're criticizing her tweets.
It's a hypothetical, like I said. And my point about the name of the Atlas rocket, they're not naming it Atlas. It's called an Atlas Comet. The Atlas is an acronym. I forget. It stands for something like something about it's going to come real close. I mean, they're not lying. And then NASA even launched a rocket the other day. They're saying they're going into space to try to deflect a comet. I mean, they admit this stuff. You look it up.
Wait a minute.
My point about...
Hey, my radio show.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Okay, Mike, calm down. Okay. All right.
Please be quiet for a minute here. Let me go back here. I have heard absolutely nothing about NASA launching a missile to deflect the comet, and I would like a source on that.
Type it in. It's from NASA. It's from like 3 months ago. If you go ahead and you can even type it in YouTube and type in the last month. It'll show you. There's all these different articles. They talked about it. And then, like I said, let me make one more about Trump's Space Force, right? These heavy rockets that are going up there. To me, they're saying that they're launching satellites, right? To me, I don't know if it wants to be like, I always love a good conspiracy, but think about this. It looks like a taxi force. All these elites, they're fleeing. They know all the multi-billionaires and trillionaires that are.
Where would they go to? Where would they go? They fly out.
Where do you think?
And suffocate.
Huh?
I said they fly out into space.
You don't think that they have anything up there besides the International Space Station, Mike? People are talking about how they built an ark. There's an ark in space. I'm serious.
Tim. Do you know how many amateur astronomers are looking at the sky every single night? If there was some kind of an arc up there, it would have been spotted. There are all kinds of websites of people who track satellites, and all of them are identified.
Yeah, I actually just bought a telescope too, Mike. I had one a while back, but I just bought a nice one. And the other night, I actually saw the Starlink pass by. It was pretty cool. It was crazy. And good thing I knew what it was, because if I didn't, I'd be like, holy crap, like, what is that? I watched it, the 60 satellites, it flew right by the moon, right above my house. It was pretty cool.
Tim, we've had enough April Fool's jokes. Thank you very much. We're going to let you go and switch over to Laura in Michigan. Aloha, Laura. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. It's a little hard following that telephone call. I just wanted to tell everybody that,
You're going to tell
the Liberty Man
in your bathtub, right?
On RBN, he's on at 9 o'clock in the morning. He's been having Leonard Horowitz on, and he's been on last 3 Thursdays. He'll be on tomorrow. Leonard Horowitz wrote the book "Death in the Air," which I used back when they were going to have the West Nile virus scare. Our county was going to have a $4 million millage to have the whole county sprayed for mosquitoes. And with the anvil, which was in Dr. Horowitz's book. So anyway, I wrote letters to the editor, had meetings and everything, and the millage was turned down. And we didn't get sprayed because we have a lot of organic farms, cattle and that sort of thing in my rural county. So anyway, I really respect Dr. Horowitz. He's an infectious disease doctor, so he knows what he's talking about. Everybody should tune in at 9 a.m. tomorrow at the Liberty Man on RBN and listen to Dr. Leonard Horowitz.
Okay, well, thank you for that information, and thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to get back to the news about the coronavirus here. And we were talking about Tucker Carlson and how he aired a report claiming the coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan, which, of course, was my pet theory, going into this thing that somebody dropped a test tube, that the coronavirus is a weapon system in development, not finished, and it was accidentally released from the laboratory. Now, Dr. Sona Pekova, on the other hand, she's a biologist, and she is of the opinion COVID-19 originated from a United States lab, not from China. All right, we're going to go back to the phones. Al in Canada, aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. That call you had from that guy. What is it with when times get kind of tough, all the strange weirdos come out with all their kookification theories and all that?
Well, the comet is definitely real. The comet is definitely real, and I'm going to get my telescope out and take a look at it myself. But the idea that there's an arc up there for the billionaires, and I mean, like I said, it's April Fool's Day, and we expect this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, there's some things that are so obvious. I mean, you don't even have to, like you said, there's so many people looking up at the sky. I mean, they see something like that. I mean, you can see the ISS with the telescope.
Yeah.
So, something that big.
Yeah, it would be very, very.
On top of that, I mean, yeah. Well, Mike, it would definitely would definitely satisfy the reason for all of the massive deficits all over the world with these governments extracting all our tax dollars and then creating even more of it at the banks. But so, speaking of banks, I don't know, I heard the Fed is probably approaching $5.5 trillion now for their balance sheet.
Yes.
And you have to wonder, I mean, at what point is the government going to say, or assuming the governments are running the show, are they going to say, you know what, enough is enough. There's no way back from this. We got to stop this farce. And, go back the way it should be, which is, the government has a treasury, and that's where it all happens, not at some private bank owned by who knows who.
Well, I think it's very alarming. The Reserve and the Treasury seem to be merging.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just in the United States either. I mean, there's a lot of bandangling going on up here in Canada, and they're basically just trying to keep this Ponzi scheme. They're trying to keep these bubbles, blown up, and I don't see the point. I mean, I really don't. I mean, we're going to head into a massive depression. They should just let it all crash and just get it all over with one fell swoop. Obviously the rich folk don't want to have their wealth decline, but
No.
I mean, it's nothing compared to people like us, and even the poor. I mean, there are people poorer than us, Mike, and that is who they're really hurting with this all this inflationary pressure they're creating by just printing this stuff out of thin air and buying up bad debt that should have been liquidated to begin with. I don't get it. I mean, it seems diabolical at best.
It is diabolical. I mean, the Federal Reserve System is designed to enslave the people with debt, to enslave the entire nation with debt, with the ultimate aim of transferring all the hard assets, the real assets, the land and facilities into the pockets of the bankers, so that instead of being citizens of the United States of America, we are merely tenants.
Well,
it's a new feudalism.
As long as you're armed to the teeth the way you are, I can't see that holding. So, and that's another thing that bothers me about what's going on right now. I mean, the government has basically thrown out the Bill of Rights and the Constitution on both sides of the border, and I mean, I have a hard time believing they're going to give up that kind of power. I'm thinking Trudeau's going to use this as a reason to try and disarm the public, even though there's been a massive amount of firearms being bought. But who knows, right? I mean, this is just all speculation. So I appreciate your time, Mike. You have a good show. I'm going to listen. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. One of the secondary effects, if you will, of the coronavirus pandemic and the down, bringing back the barter economy. More and more people are just swapping stuff back and forth among themselves. Eggs for toilet paper, for example, rice, jam, bread, whatever. And social networks like Facebook and Nextdoor are flooded with posts from neighbors and friends seeking to swap things back and forth. All right, we're going to take another phone call. Peter in Los Angeles. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Michael. I just keep coming back to all this, and again, as I've said several times before, the bottom line on this, we don't know exactly where this started, but we know where this ends. We know that it ends with all of our assets and wealth in the hands of the central bankers everywhere.
Yes.
We know who those guys are. So we also know that a panic or can be magnified by the press, which they own. We also know that they own our government, and it's proven. For enough money, you can get Lindsey Graham to say anything at all, or any of these other guys. So government goes right along with this. Media goes right along with it, and the banks owned by the same people, by the bankers, and this is a reset. I'm sure this is a reset. And they're just getting rid of everything, inflating everything. They take all the real wealth, the property, the companies, the gold, the real estate, everything that has real value. We're left with Weimar Republic money, and everybody's going to blame it on the virus.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah,
and we know who these people are.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. The money junkies.
Yeah, but they can be pinpointed a little bit more than that because there's a lot of money junkies, but there's only one group that controls the Federal Reserve. It's a pretty defined group.
Yeah,
and the European Central Bank and everything else.
I know where you're going with this. Okay.
It's clear.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty clear. Well, it's part of the culture. It's part of the religion. And, they honestly believe that when they control all of the world's money is when the Messiah is going to arrive.
They're so caught up in all this symbolism, like the Second Temple or whatever it is. And you know what? They'll probably spin this as like the new Passover. The COVID, it went over everybody else but us, and we became rich. Whatever, who knows how they'll spin this, but they'll spin it in some sort of Kabbalah, way. But it's really, it seems pretty clear, Mike, that that's what's happening. And you've been talking about that and related stuff for years, and it's all related. And that's why I've been listening to you all these years. You can't hear this. You're not allowed to speak of it.
No, you're not.
In public, you're not allowed to speak, So that's how I originally started listening to you. When you started telling the truth about 911 and pointing the fingers where it should be pointed at, and nobody else was. So anyways, that's my take on it. But we know the only definite result is that they get all the money and all the wealth, and we get nothing.
We get pretty printed pieces.
Not even rights. Yeah, and not even rights, not even civil rights.
Oh, look at how
chaos, social chaos, everything.
And how Israel.
That one, Mike.
I said how Israel is attacking our First Amendment. Israel hates the Bill of Rights.
Yep.
They absolutely do. They want Americans silenced and obedient. Anyway, listen, Peter, got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. Got another caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And before we take our next phone call, we have this update on the Comet Atlas. Atlas is an acronym for the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System in Hawaii, which discovered the comet. And they're saying it's still too early to know if it's going to become naked eye bright or not, but we'll be keeping you up to date on that. It can be seen in a medium-sized telescope. Okay, let's see. We're going to go back to the phones here to Glenn in Philadelphia. Aloha, Glenn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Actually, I called about lines and social distancing and the lines in the retail stores and stuff. But for a minute, I just want to mention that comet thing you just mentioned. This is apparently evolving as a possible thing that could be going on. There was last week, or there was a meteorite that landed in a lake in India. It was metallic and it was burning underwater and that sort of thing. So there was that. And then the other day there was supposedly a meteorite strike in Nigeria that didn't get covered. So now supposedly there's talk of incoming debris clusters that are going to create a bunch of meteorites or something. So there's this comet passing on the 29th, and then supposedly the story is that there are going to be an increase in meteorites And then
Yes.
something ominous, and has yet unspecified for May 12th. So that's like the whole that's the spooky story for all that. You know, that we're going to start getting a great increase in meteorites from these debris clusters that are incoming.
Well, meteor storms are associated with comets to begin with. There's nothing new about that. And every time there's a comet on the way in, you know, we're always going to get all these stories about, oh, it's an alien spaceship, or it's this, or it's that. And, you know, bad things are going to happen. But throughout history, comets have always been viewed as the harbinger of evil.
Right. Well, that guy that was on before, he was like the salesman, fast talker, blah, 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 you know,
Yeah.
and like, you know, yeah.
Used comet salesman.
But what I was calling about was something a lot more mundane about humans and human attitude. Yesterday, you had a caller, a woman who was very indignant about the way she'd been treated at a retail store. She was in line, and somebody, a cashier, was apparently terse with her and said, you know, stay behind the line, you just think, you know. And then she took her purchases and returned them because she was so indignant and about all this. And I heard her later on John's program, she called into him for the same story, which isn't unusual. Sometimes people do on multiple programs, done it myself. But I just thought that she was, under the circumstances, regardless of what's going on, you know, people are questioning, you know, the stories we're getting on the coronavirus and the danger of it, effectiveness and necessity of social distancing and all that. But I thought she was rather narcissistic because there's all this stress out there, and you know, she didn't want to be treated like a disease, and you know, the customer and all that. And I thought that was rather narcissistic at a time when people need to be understanding. Those retail store clerks and cashiers are under tremendous pressure, and they're very much at risk out with the public, and you know, trying to make sure that we all get our stuff. And making wages that aren't that great. And yet she was so indignant because she was treated. I just thought she was rather narcissistic.
Well, I haven't seen that kind of behavior around here in the retail. In fact, everybody is still very friendly. You know, they're starting to wear more masks and gloves. But I don't know. People tend to be mirrors, and you tend to get back what you're putting out. And I suspect that maybe this individual probably has problems with a lot of people.
Yeah, it just seemed to be all about her. You know, there's all this stress, all this concern out there, and she wants it to be the customer's always right. Nobody ever said. I mean, generally people are doing pretty well. I'm not going to freak out if a cashier who's, you know, making $10 an hour or something like that, and having all these people, you know, being in relatively close quarters, you know, passing her. These people are feeling at risk, and they might be a little touchy about keeping the social distancing. So somebody was short with her. You know, one of these stressed out cashiers was short with her, so she's going to return her purchases and not allow herself to be treated like a disease. And I was like, ease up, lady. Somebody's had a bad day. Just let it, you know, roll off your back like water off a duck's back and get your stuff and keep on going. You know, so I just, yeah. So, all righty. Well, listen, try, I don't really have anything other than that. Take care. And I hope we get to the bottom of, it would be very nice. I was first going to say, first of all, if this COVID thing did turn out not to be anywhere near as bad as they had feared, that would be wonderful from their lips to God's ears. May that be so. And take care, Mike. Take care.
All right, Glenn, we got to let you go. Got to make commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new EZ4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And before we take our next phone call, I'm looking at a graph of the orbital prediction of Comet Atlas, and it's coming nowhere near Earth. In fact, at its closest approach to Earth, it's going to be well inside the orbit of Mercury. And just ballparking it from the chart I'm looking at, we're talking about the closest it'll get to Earth is 70 million miles. So it's not posing any kind of a danger to planet Earth. And that will be that. All right, let's go back to the phones here to Paul in Montana. Aloha, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Mr. Rivero, fellow Rangers. I've got 3 quick things. All of these people that are leaving New York, Boston, and what have you, that are heading for Long Island and the suburbs or, those places, why don't they just go to the ghettos? I mean, we hear absolutely no news whatsoever about people in the ghettos getting infected. And number 2, where is the get-go? And number 3, all of these appointments since Eisenhower for people from Goldman Sachs that are Israeli first, dual naturals, that have been seeding these departments with dual national Israeli firsters, shouldn't they bear some of the responsibility for this horrific outbreak? And as a little caveat, the commercial for the carcass droppers, do you think they will be using that when they start manufacturing Soylent Green? And I'll be listening to you on the air. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Paul. And certainly, I think the bankers as a class, and certainly the Federal Reserve, bear responsibility for putting our economy into such a fragile condition that one little tiny virus could take it down the way it has. Because it's very obvious that when the coronavirus showed up, our economy had no resilience, it had no durability, and looking at how easy it was to just crash our economy with that little virus, I'm surprised that other countries hadn't tried some economic warfare before to do precisely that. So anyway, let's move on now to Steve Elkins. Steve, you had an additional comment?
Yeah, I do every other day or so. I do a little inventory at our local Walmart to see what's on the shelves and a couple other different stores to see what's coming back in. And everything's kind of returning back slowly. It's not bad. It's looking pretty good right now, except the paper products are still down. But what I did notice walking into Walmart yesterday, and I just had to comment on this, is this woman exiting the store there had a mask on, and she had something written on it. And I caught part of it, but I had to ask the checker because I knew she went through the line. I said, what was the rest of the message written on her mask? They're written in a Sharpie, and it said "back off." And what I'm seeing is we are seeing coronavirus psychosis is what we're seeing, and even people walking in the parking lot where you're not even near anybody are still wearing masks, and they're ditching their gloves, and we're seeing germaphobes. They're going to increase, and we're seeing CV psychosis. I kid you not. Another woman I saw in the store had actually taken a brassiere, cut the cup off, and made a mask out of her brassiere, one of the cups. Now, I saw that on the internet 2 days ago, and now I actually witnessed one, and I looked at her, and she looked at me like, what are you looking at? And I didn't say anything, but I wanted to say I'm looking at a woman who's got a bra cup on her face. It's probably a little too big. Any bigger, she would have had to cut slits in it for her eyes, but it was hilarious that people are coming up with these ideas of how to, if they don't have a mask, they'll make one. I just want to comment on that. Like I said, there's a coronavirus psychosis that has started now, and not sure it's going to go anytime soon after this is over.
Oh boy, that's funny. Now, the one who had back off on the mask, she may have meant that humorously, and I don't know if it's psychosis or just stress reduction. A lot of people are taking, humor. They're trying to use humor to diffuse the tension here. I've seen masks with smiley faces on them, the smiley mouth drawn on the mask, and things like that. So, I also approached a woman in the same aisle coming the opposite direction. I approached her, and she looked at me, and she didn't have a mask on. But what she quickly did when she saw me was she pulled her shirt up over her nose and mouth as I approached her. Okay. I guess I look like a vector, and she was afraid of me. So, well, I guess if you look in focus, yes. Thanks, Mike. I'll talk to you later. All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
That woman with the bra cup over her face. What a boob. My God. I mean, come on. I mean, Mike, does that actually do anything? Because is that N95 or N100 approved?
It's NDD.
That's pretty good. Mike, I want to just, if you saw the Russian Antonov 224 landed in New York City.
Yes.
Like 20 minutes ago. Yeah, man. Like, isn't that amazing? We demonized them, right? We said they're a country. What they say? It's a gas station masquerading as a country. Well, now what are they? Yeah, are they still a gas station, or maybe they're a medical supply company masquerading as a country now, huh? How do you like that one? All the demonization we put up against them, right? Like
they send us
lying about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't have to. You know, I mean, they have their own people to worry about. You know, and you know who don't have the supplies? Your own government people. You know who don't have any rainy day fund? Your own government people. You know, and I want people to think about this because I said it a couple times. You have 10 aircraft carriers and 2 hospital ships. How come you don't have 10 hospital ships and 2 aircraft carriers?
Well, you're hoping to not have that many wounded. I mean, it's a very optimistic way of deploying your fleet. You know, we're going to hurt them more than they hurt us.
Except if it's a virus. Hey, Mike, I want to. Did you see? I know Tucker mentioned the Wuhan thing, but there's a lot of propaganda coming out because you know that Radio Free Asia, they're putting out a lot of propaganda against China, demonize your opponent kind of crap.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Russia, you know, and Iran. You know, like I'm still like, I mean, why don't they lift the sanctions, everybody? You know, I mean, we all got to work together, and because Mike, Trump needs to make a nighttime just talking to the American people, like emergency special breakthrough thing, because this ain't going to end April 30th. You know, this is going to go on for a while, and you just can't keep moving the goalposts. You know, I mean, what happens the next April 28th comes up, and we're going to add another 30 days and another. You can't. I mean, you got to just tell people this is going to go on for just till maybe to the end of the year. You know, I mean, it's just.
It's funny you would say that. I've got a source inside the financial system who's saying that the economy is not going to recover before the end of the year.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I think it's finished. The economy's finished. Look at the money that they did in 2008, the repo market, and they're throwing all this money. It's over. It's over. I don't think we can ever recover from this. How do you pay back all this debt? You know, it's just
you nationalize the Federal Reserve and you write it off. I mean, Britain was forced to do that when the British pound stopped being the international reserve currency during World War II, and the dollar took over. The Bank of England got into trouble almost immediately, and the British government wound up having to nationalize it. And I think the same thing's going to happen to the Federal Reserve.
Oh, Mike, you know, in the last 24 hours, 534 people died in the UK. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And my heart goes out. Did the gentleman from Sweden call today? My heart goes out for him and the Swedish people. He needs to pack up everything he can and head for the hills, because what they're doing in Sweden, Mike, is that herd immunity. They got the schools still open. They don't get it. They're doing it what Britain they were talking about doing in Britain, and it's not going to go well because they'll just be overwhelmed. They're probably getting overwhelmed by now, you know. But you saw DeSantis. He finally decided, probably looked at the numbers again and said, it's time to shut things down. But he should have done this, I said, weeks ago. He had the spring breakers. Mike, as soon as the spring breakers came, that was it.
That was it.
That was it. The flights coming in from New York still, that's an after effect. Remember, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3. After that, times 3, maybe more. You know? But yeah, like it's, and you know what, Mike? Even the dude from Missouri, the Republican governor, I forgot his name, he still don't get it. Like, what don't he get? Like, what's the problem? Like, what's the disconnect? That's why I think Trump needs to come out and tell the states it's time to lock down. And inside the states, they need to lock down. You know, over here, next door to the next town, Lakewood again, Hasidics having like a party, you know, like it's you know, and they probably got routed out by their own Hasidic people, but it's just, there's just certain people that don't seem to get it. You know, you're not going to be able to flatten the. Yeah, I mean, you can't flatten the curve when you still got people not just going out and doing their own thing, because they're just going to keep spreading this thing. You know, hey, what happened to all the deniers? Like they disappeared. You know, I haven't heard anybody calling in today denying it, unless I missed it. You know,
you can't call the radio show later.
But yeah, like I said, when all your listeners, you got to, don't get lazy on this thing, because we ain't even there yet. This is going to keep spreading and spreading and spreading. We had another 100 people in New Jersey die since 24 hours. It was 70 the day before yesterday. So you see how it's ticking up,
Well, all infection patterns are exponential. It's just a matter of what value the exponent has, which is basically
some of the younger people died.
The R naught is about, the exponent for the curve.
Oh, Mike, by the way, I looked, we went from 1.6, was it 1.1? It's up to 2.2 in terms of the death ratio. I forgot what they call that. It's up to 2.2, so that's ticking up too. But it's just crazy, man. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, the stores are still out of paper towels and toilet paper. That's just like,
well,
how much for the last can of soup, huh?
Our store isn't. We were down at the market earlier today, and there are some empty spaces, but they do have the paper goods in there. So the supply chain is responding.
It just goes to show you how we take things for granted. Like you want to hug that last roll of Charmin, like they did on the commercials with Mr. Willow, whatever his name.
Whipple. Mr. Whipple.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everybody stay safe. You and your wife, and everybody, like I said yesterday, be street smart, because, we're in for the long haul. This ain't over by a long shot. And have a good night, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Ken in New York. Aloha, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. What is the significance of groups of CEOs stepping down whenever something blows up in their face, like the Bill Gates and some other CEOs stepping down? Are they trying to protect the companies that they work for? I mean, do they still expect
protecting themselves? I think they're looking forward and they're saying the company's going to get into serious trouble and I might as well bail now and let some other CEO catch the flack for it. But I know there's been a lot of CEOs stepping down.
And in addition to politicians, some politicians once again saying they're not going to run for re-election. And then you have a different issue with the ones that are all trying to cash out on it.
Yes.
That's the really disgusting part, is the politicians all, selling out. Well, I guess it comes naturally for them, the concept of selling out.
Well, again, I think everybody has known for quite some time that things were going to get really bad about now, and they want somebody else to be in that office to catch the flack from it. And, it's a common survival instinct, whether you're a politician or a CEO. You look down the road and you say, things are going to get really, really bad, and there's not a thing I can do to change it. So I'm just going to retire now with my full pension and benefits and stock options and everything. And we'll promote some other guy to be the CEO, and he'll be at the helm when it all goes bad.
I don't think I'm wondering if these people actually believe that there is nothing is going to happen after this. They somehow think it's going to drop down and they're going to be like the big boys and just buy their way back in when it's low and then wait for it to go up, try to find a way to drive it up again.
I'm sure that there's probably a lot of people who are thinking that right now. I think that's the only thing keeping our stock market from a total, complete, bottoming out crash is people are going for bargains, and they're trying to buy low and sell high, which is how you make money in the stock market. But at some point, I think a few more days like what we've had this last week, and I think people are going to say this is not coming back soon enough to be worth the risk to me. And I think we're going to see another bad day tomorrow, unless the PPT gets in there and jams it up again.
The reason that you would find back off humorous is I think it should be accompanied with a picture of Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, well, maybe she didn't have the art talent to do that. But like I said, I'm seeing things like smiles drawn on the masks and whatnot.
Yes, I've seen it. So thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Paul in New Jersey. Paul, I'm going to have to take you through the commercial break. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Hey, Michael, you know the old joke, right? What do you get when you cut 50 bras in half?
100 yarmulkes.
With chin straps. The old classic. Old classic.
Yes.
Hey, anyway, listen up. You know, the Connecticut governor, Ned Lamont, came out saying how, you know, the medical supplies are pretty much depleted and out of the U.S. strategic national stockpile. And it made me think about Johnson & Johnson. You know, Johnson & Johnson is an American company.
Can we put you on
large
hold?
Yeah,
You got to put you on hold. Hold that thought about Johnson & Johnson. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
How would you like to earn an extra $10,000 or more a month from the comfort of your home? We show you how to win with a home-based business opportunity. This could be one of the best financial decisions you ever make. Work from home, full-time or part-time. Plus, you'll never have to talk to anyone. Our professional sales team closes all your sales for you, and you keep 70% of all the sales made. You could be earning money while you're sleeping, shopping, working out, wherever you are, day or night. Our system goes to work for you. You can make a great income without any special computer skills or sales training. Plus, you get paid fast, within just 24 to 48 hours after our professional sales team closes a sale for you. Let us help you eliminate your financial concerns. You could be earning enough money to pay off debt, buy a house, a car, or whatever the case may be. We've got you covered. If you'd like to add an extra $10,000 or more a month to your portfolio, and you would like to know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, go now to www.getstartedwithus.com. That's www.getstartedwithus.com. Again, that's www.getstartedwithus.com.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're talking with Paul in New Jersey, and you were talking about Johnson & Johnson and how they might step on in during the coronavirus panic.
Actually, I think they're more likely to step on out because from the looks of it, when the going gets tough, the billionaires start running. And the fact of the matter is, they squandered a lot of their money a long time ago. You know, my wife worked down at the West Trenton Airport, and Johnson & Johnson, they have their own private hangar,
Yes.
their own set of several private jets. Think about it. Those billionaire CEOs of these companies, if they instead of buying all those Learjets, maybe they could have bought like a mask making machine. I mean, think about it. How many mask making machines could you get out of the cost of one Learjet? I bet you could probably build 10 mask making, maybe 20 mask making machines, for the cost of one Learjet. But wait a minute, those billionaires have their priorities, What's important is that when they travel for their junkets and their international, like meetings, that they fly in absolute comfort. I mean, they got their priorities, not potentially setting up their companies to make maybe more profits and also serve their country. You know what I mean? And that's part of what we're seeing out of this is we're seeing those billionaires don't seem quite so loyal, patriotic Americans after all, are they? It's like, look at Bloomberg, right? Michael Bloomberg spends $1 million trying to become president, or $1 billion, I should say, trying to become president. And then here it is, a national crisis, and he's nowhere to be seen to maybe spend $1 billion helping fellow New Yorkers and promoting, helping the hospitals out without his billions. It doesn't seem like they're really rolling up their sleeves and pitching in to help out the common man. If anything, it seems like they're all flying off to their bunkers and their private retreats. So this is, I think, a classic case of, showing the depth and patriotism of these plutocrats of ours.
Well, you make a very, very good point there. I mean, Bloomberg did spend about $1 billion trying to become president, failed miserably, proving the old adage that money buys elections is not necessarily accurate. But you're right. Where is his humanity toward the voters now that they really need him? And it's just not there.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, like the selective socialism we're getting out of this. Notice we're getting the socialism of the government printing out, what do they say, something, it comes to $6,000 per person, but the peons get $1,200.
Yes.
Okay? But none of the socialism would happen to be like to chip in for this common national effort, right, of maybe a temporary graduated income tax. It's interesting, over at Drudge, they're saying they're cutting wages on doctors and nurses.
Yes.
Right? But how about like taxing, here's a guy, Bill Ackman made 2.7 in hedge fund speculation. How about enacting some quick, like, graduated income taxes on the billionaires to start using some of that money for the national good? Because this is a national emergency, and we should do it for the good of the nation.
Oh, gotta let you go. There's the end of the show. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. He's going to have Steve Elkins on. They're going to be continuing discussion about the coronavirus. Please spread the word about LPN. Please spread the word about whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate to both. We are in dire straits. We really need your help to stay on the air. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.